Every step you take today matters. Every decision, every conversation, every direction you choose, it is shaping your future. That is why you must not walk in your own strength or rely on your own wisdom. Instead, pray that God's grace will establish your steps. Grace is not just forgiveness. Grace is divine empowerment. Grace lifts you when you are weak, guides you when you are unsure, and orders your life according to God's perfect plan. When you pray for God's grace, you are inviting heaven to direct your path. Sometimes you don't know what's ahead. The road may seem unclear, and fear may whisper that you are not ready. But God already knows every detail of your journey. He sees the dangers you cannot see and the opportunities you might miss. His grace can position you in the right place at the right time. Grace is often misunderstood as just God overlooking our mistakes or showing mercy when we fail. But grace is far more powerful, far more active, and far more life-changing. Grace is divine empowerment. Grace is the supernatural ability of God working in your life to help you do what you could never do on your own. Grace strengthens you when you feel weak. Grace gives you wisdom when you don't know what to do. Grace carries you when your own strength runs out. Grace is God saying, you don't have to walk this path alone. I will walk it through you. Many people try to live by effort, but effort without grace leads to exhaustion. You can try to fix everything, plan everything, control everything, but without grace, even your best attempts fall short. When grace empowers you, what once felt heavy becomes light. What once felt impossible becomes achievable. Grace does not just forgive you, grace transforms you. It shapes your character, it renews your mind, it fuels your faith, and it fills you with confidence that God is working even when you cannot see it. Divine empowerment means God equips you for every season of your life. If God called you to it, His grace will carry you through it. You may face challenges, but grace gives you endurance. You may feel surrounded, but grace gives you strategy. You may feel unqualified, but grace gives you favor. Grace lifts you above your limitations because it is not about your ability. It is about His power flowing through you. There will be days when you feel spiritually dry or emotionally drained. Those are not the moments to give up. They are the moments to lean into grace. Grace does not require you to be perfect. Grace meets you right where you are and moves you forward. God's grace is active. It works in the background, opening doors, aligning opportunities, shifting hearts, and preparing the way ahead of you. Sometimes grace is the unseen hand that keeps you from disaster. Other times, it is the push that launches you into purpose. Divine empowerment is not just for big assignments. Grace is for everyday steps. It's for the strength to forgive, the discipline to pray, the courage to obey, and the patience to wait. Grace enables you to keep going when everything in you wants to stop. Grace is the reason you didn't break under the pressure. Grace is the reason you survived what should have destroyed you. Grace is the breath of God in your spirit, reminding you that you are never walking alone. Prayer is not just a religious habit or a morning routine. Prayer is alignment. Prayer brings your heart, your thoughts, your desires, and your plans into agreement with the will of God. When you pray, you are not just speaking, you are positioning yourself to hear, to receive, and to be guided. Prayer is how you surrender control and acknowledge that God knows the way better than you do. Without prayer, you may move, but you may move in the wrong direction. With prayer, your steps become ordered, intentional, and purposeful. Prayer is the difference between wandering and being led. There are many voices around you and even more voices within you. Fear, anxiety, doubt, pressure, opinions. Prayer silences the noise and calms the soul so you can recognize the voice of God. When you pray, confusion lifts and clarity comes. Prayer is not about trying to convince God to follow your plan. It is allowing God to reveal His plan to you. His plan is always wiser, greater, and more secure than anything you could design on your own. Every day presents decisions, some small, some life-changing. Prayer invites God into those decisions. Prayer says, Lord, establish my steps before I take them. It is easy to make choices based on emotion or urgency, but prayer teaches you to wait on God's timing. When you pray, God aligns your desires with His purpose so that what you want begins to match what He wants for you. This alignment protects you from unnecessary pain and keeps you on the path of destiny. Prayer also corrects your direction when you've drifted. There are times when you may step out of alignment without realizing it. Pride, distraction, or disappointment can pull you off course. But prayer brings realignment. In prayer, you humble yourself and God gently guides you back. Even if you feel far from where you should be, prayer is the bridge that reconnects you to the heart of God. Prayer restores your focus, renews your passion, and reminds you of who is leading your life. Prayer does not always change your situation immediately, but it always changes your posture. Prayer prepares you before God promotes you. It strengthens your spirit, increases your sensitivity to His voice, and gives you the confidence to move when He says, go, and to wait when He says, not yet. Prayer keeps you aligned so that every step is covered in grace and every move is directed by divine wisdom. Prayer doesn't just start your day, it shapes your day. There are moments in life when the path ahead looks uncertain. You may only see confusion, obstacles, or delays. But while your vision is limited, God's vision is complete. He sees the beginning, the middle, and the end of your journey all at once. You see the present, but he sees the purpose. You see the problem, but he sees the breakthrough behind it. Trusting him means believing that even when you don't understand what is happening, he is still in full control. God sees the dangers you can't see. There have been doors you wanted to walk through that God kept shut, not to punish you, but to protect you. What looked like rejection was actually redirection. What felt like delay was divine protection. He knows where every trap has been set. He knows the intentions of people around you, even when you don't. When God blocks a path, it is never to hold you back, it is to lead you to something better. God also sees the opportunities you do not yet recognize. Sometimes, what feels small or insignificant to you is the very thing God wants to use to elevate you. You might underestimate a moment, a connection, or an assignment, but God sees potential in places you overlook. That is why patience and obedience are so important. When you stay faithful where you are, God will reveal why that season was necessary. Nothing is wasted in his plan. When life surprises you, it never surprises God. He already knew what would happen and already prepared the grace you would need to get through it. Even in pain, he sees purpose. Even in loss, he sees restoration. Even in weakness, he sees the making of your strength. You may be questioning, why this? Why now? But God sees what this experience will produce in you: wisdom, maturity, deeper trust, stronger faith. Trusting God's sight means surrendering your need to understand every detail. It means believing that his perspective is higher, his timing is perfect, and his plan is flawless. You don't need to see the whole map when you are walking with the one who designed the path. God guides one step at a time because he wants you to rely on him, not your own understanding. There were times in your past when you thought you were alone, but God was quietly working behind the scenes. He was aligning circumstances, moving hearts, opening doors, and protecting your destiny. Looking back, you can see moments when everything just happened to work out. That wasn't luck. That was the all-seeing hand of God. Your past may carry moments of failure, pain, or regret, but the grace of God is greater than every mistake you've ever made. Grace does not ignore your past, it redeems it. It steps into the broken pieces and creates something beautiful. Grace does not pretend the pain didn't happen, it transforms the pain into purpose. You are not defined by what you did, what happened to you, or where you came from. Grace declares that your story is not over just because you've fallen. God can write a new chapter. Many people live trapped by guilt or shame, believing their past disqualifies them from God's plan. But grace specializes in using the unlikely and restoring the broken. When God looks at you, he doesn't see your past, he sees your potential. He sees the version of you he designed before the world began. His grace removes the labels, lifts the weight, and breaks the chains that once held you back. You may remember your failures, but grace reminds you of your forgiveness. Grace also redeems time. There are seasons you feel you have wasted, years spent in the wrong relationships, wrong places, or wrong mindset. But in the hands of God, nothing is truly lost. He can accelerate you, restore opportunities, and give you more in a moment than you lost in a lifetime. Grace does not just forgive what you've done, it restores what you've lost. It turns the years of pain into years of harvest. Your past may have left scars, but even scars have purpose. Scars are not signs of defeat, they are evidence of survival. They show that grace carried you through what tried to break you. Those scars can become testimonies that encourage others. What once brought you shame can now bring God glory. Grace positions your past as a platform for ministry. The enemy wants your past to silence you, but grace uses your past to empower you. Grace also sets you free from the fear of repeating the past. You don't have to walk in cycles of insecurity or failure. When grace redeems you, it renews your mind and reshapes your identity. You begin to see yourself as God sees you, chosen, forgiven, anointed, and called. The same grace that saved you is the same grace that sustains you. You don't have to strive to earn it, you just have to receive it. No matter how messy your history may be, grace declares there is still destiny ahead of you. Grace says your past is a place of reference, not residence. You can look back and see where you came from, but you don't have to stay there. When God establishes your steps, you are not moving on random ground. You are walking on purpose. Every step you take is guided, guarded, and graced by the one who holds all power. When he sets a path for your life, no force in hell, no human opinion, no circumstance, and no obstacle can derail what he has ordained. Established steps are not built on your strength, they are built on his sovereignty. You may face resistance, but resistance cannot remove what God has already approved. There will always be opposition when you are walking in God's will. The enemy attacks what he fears. He sees the potential in you, the calling on you, and the destiny ahead of you. But when your steps are established by God, every attack becomes powerless to stop you. You might bend, but you will not break. You might be delayed, but you will not be denied. What God started in you, he will complete. His plan does not fail because his power does not fail. Established steps mean divine backing. You are not walking alone. Heaven walks with you. Angels are assigned to protect you, favor goes before you, and grace surrounds you like a shield. Even when things don't go the way you expected, your steps are still secure. Sometimes God establishes your steps by closing doors that were never meant for you. Other times he moves you through doors no one else could open. Either way, his hand is directing every move. When God establishes your steps, he also establishes your pace. You don't have to rush to prove yourself. You don't have to compete with others. You don't have to panic when things seem slow. God's timing is strategic. He knows when to accelerate you and when to hide you. Every season has purpose. Preparation is just as important as promotion. If God is making you wait, he is strengthening your foundation because what he is building in you is built to last. Established steps do not mean an easy journey, but it means a guaranteed destination. You may walk through valleys, but you will not stay there. You may pass through storms, but you will not drown. God's hand will guide you through every twist and turn. Even your setbacks become setups. Even your battles become blessings. Even your tears become seeds for future joy. What seems like chaos to you is carefully orchestrated by God. People may doubt you, but they cannot stop you. Circumstances may challenge you, but they cannot cancel you. When your steps are established by God, every move becomes part of a divine blueprint. What he has spoken over your life will come to pass. Walking by faith means choosing to trust God even when your natural eyes cannot see the full picture. Faith is not about having all the answers. It is about being confident in the one who does. Sight is limited to the present moment, but faith reaches into the promises of God. Sight looks at circumstances and says, this is impossible, but faith looks at God and says, with him, all things are possible. Walking by faith means you continue to move forward, even when everything around you tells you to stop. Faith does not ignore reality. It simply believes that God has a greater reality. You may see obstacles, but faith sees opportunity. You may see delay, but faith sees preparation. You may see weakness, but faith sees the strength of God working in you. When you rely on sight, you will become discouraged by what you see. When you rely on faith, you will be encouraged by what God has said. Faith is anchored in his word, not in your feelings. There will be seasons when God leads you step by step without revealing the full path. He does this on purpose. He wants you to depend on his voice more than your vision. If you could see everything ahead of you, you wouldn't need faith. But faith grows in the unknown. Faith matures in uncertainty. Faith is strengthened when you choose to trust even when you don't understand. Walking by faith means staying confident that God is working behind the scenes, even when nothing seems to be changing. When you walk by sight, fear becomes your guide. Fear points out every risk, every failure, every what if, but faith silences fear and reminds you that God is bigger than the storm. Faith does not wait for conditions to be perfect. Faith moves because God said so. You may not feel ready, but faith steps out anyway. You may not see the provision yet, but faith believes it is already on the way. Faith is not passive, it is active obedience to God's leading. Walking by faith does not mean you will never feel unsure. It means you refuse to be controlled by uncertainty. It means you choose trust over anxiety, obedience over hesitation, and perseverance over quitting. Faith lifts your eyes above your situation and fixes them on God's character. He has never failed and he never will. Faith reminds you that if God brought you this far, he will not abandon you now. Every time you choose faith over sight, you grow stronger. Every step of faith takes you deeper into destiny. Every act of faith invites the supernatural into your natural circumstances.